from one Batman game to the next. What's happening, Internet? How's everybody doing? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. It's time for more Batman, blah, 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 blah. So the earlier stream today got shut off because of using a 80s court drama name that apparently means something raunchy now. So that's fun. Thank you guys for watching the cat short, and we're going to do some Riddler stuff. If you want more Arkham Origins tomorrow, the stream that went up earlier today still is under 1,000 views. I don't know how much under it is. Oh, where is it? Where? Yeah. Okay, here we are. What was the name of the stream? Episode 21 of Arkham Origins is at 925. It needs 1,000. So by tomorrow morning, I need to see 1,000 views on that in order to get episode 22. So, yay. But that was interesting. And annoying. Okay, what skin do we want? No. Ugh. What did they do to Noel? Batman INC? Yeah, why not? Ugh. Well, it's not horrible. It's not great, but not good either. Okay. Riddler stuff. Here we go. Hi, Linky. You little furball. This is a good boy. Has his moments. Okay. I don't know what to level up. Don't care. 26 points? Wow. Never use this. Never use this. Never use this. Never use that. Well, that's done. 18 and 15. Sure. There you go. Hooray, there was much rejoicing. Yep, okay. Bye-bye. And combat. We already did that one. We did combat. Bat suits. This, that, the other. Okay. Alright. Off to Riddler stuff. Because there's nothing more relaxing than getting Riddler trophies. Not. Actually, I'm going to tell you how not nice a person I am. I was going to change this stream to Sonic the Hedgehog. But guess what? Knowing my luck, Pac-Man doesn't come out till tomorrow. So, we all suffer together. Isn't that fun? I think that's fun. I think that's kind of ironic. You want to know what I do miss about Arkham Origins? The fast travel. You can't fast travel. You have to go there yourself, you lazy bum. I have to make my way all over there. I can't just click on something and be like, voila! Fast travel made life so much easier. It did. Nah, we're not doing time codes. Screw time codes. I don't care about time codes. Okay, guys, let's go for a walk! Woo! Oh wow, look at how bad that water physic looks. Ooh. What happened? Oh no. And that's why you can't go swimming in Arkham. Oh, that's funny. Oh, okay. Yay. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Alright. There is another Riddler trophy here. Yeah, but didn't they say they wanted people to be able to drive around with the Batmobile and, you know, soak up all that immersion goodness? It's like, at the end of the day, even if I could drive with the Batmobile, a fast travel option would have been so much nicer. Like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. Because the Batwing is flying around up head, isn't it? It's up in the air. It's flying around. Why can't we use that as a fast travel point? Don't even have to use the Batmobile as a fast travel point. It's called a Batwing. But no! That would be too much work because we're slop steady. Derp. No, I didn't want that. I didn't want that! Leave me alone! No! I didn't want th- Oh, maybe I did want this. Break the window! Because why not? Oh my gosh, what's that? Oh, those... Those are just hanging light fixtures. I'm like, what desperately death trap awaits? Fluorescent lights! Okay. Oh, my goodness. Eh. Nah! Nani? What? What? No! Oh, you have to do. Stupid. Ah! Harder than Batman Dark Tomorrow? No, it's just annoying. It's not harder than Dark Tomorrow. It just doesn't recognize it. Like, the Switch port isn't very good. How did I fight the Riddler last time? Oh, for God's sake, would you just... How did I do this last time on the Switch? It's so slow. How did I do it? Batman is so sluggish and slow, even with all the updates. Especially after playing Steam Deck. Oh, this is giving me such a migraine. Oh... No, I didn't get to see the Doomsday trailer yet. I saw the leaks for the trailer a while ago, but I haven't seen the actual trailer. No. Nice shot. Yeah, let's go with that. That's not the Batmobile. That's the Batmobile. Da 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 da. Oh goody, there's one right here, and there was much rejoicing. Not. What? Why? Why are you... Why? 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 No! Leave me alone! Stop following me, cursed vehicle. How do I open you? What? No! Not another race! I quit. Yep. I should do what with the Riddler? Huh? What should I do with the Riddler? What's worse, Riddler or I the Monkey? They're both evil. This one is on the very top of the tower near the orphanage. The very top of the tower on the orphanage. So I have to go all the way back to the orphanage. Pass! Let's do this one instead. We'll go back to the orphanage later.
Far away, the deflated Root roams, leaving behind what he couldn't ship home.
It's Bane, you idiot. But now we have to find the canister that contains Bane in it. Shut up.
There's still riddles on Bleak Island. Challenging, mystifying riddles, which will have you tearing out your pointy ears in frustration.
They're not challenging, they're just annoying! Jerk! Just telling you you're a jerk. And you have no friends. And you're gonna die alone. And I hate your face. Oh, here it proves that Bane is still alive. Oh, come on. What? Why? It is a bat claw. It's in there. It is in there. I've done this 100 times. You jerk. I hate you. I hate this game so much. Why won't you let me scan this? I'm right there! It's in view! It's in view! Stop it! Ah! I hate you. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you! I don't care about your stupid Bane story, because he's not in the game. He's not dead either. It's just a jerk face like everyone else. There, everyone happy? I'm not happy. Doesn't my happiness count? Any day now. Thank you. Satisfying.
Two-Face, Penguin, Riddler, screw 'em all. I'm working solo from now on.
Good for you. I'm in a big black tank and I don't give a flying Todd to anybody. Ah, flying Todd. Jason Todd. It works. Okay, now we'll go not on top of the orphanage because another Riddler has presented itself. Haha! Another Riddler trophy has arrived.
Oh, that stuff was nasty.
Your face is nasty. So even though I blew it to Kingdom Come, I still can't go inside there. Oh, that's funny.
Scarecrow needs to do something about the bat, and fast.
Surprised to see you, yes. Jason kills him in Santa Prisca. The Arkham Knight comics are not canon! Sorry. Bane is not dead in the Arkhamverse. The Arkham Knight comics are not canon. Only the stuff that happens in the game is canon. Tweedledee, Bane, Ratcatcher, all those people are still alive. It never happened. The Batmobile was not made in Germany. It was made by Lucius Fox in the game. In the comics, it was made in Germany. Batman picked it up. Lucius Fox built this in the Arkham Knight game. The comics are tie-ins so that you people will buy the comics thinking they're canon when they are not. They have too many inconsistencies for them to be canon. They're for suckers. Jason is responsible for killing Black Mask because it happened in the game. The comics are not canon. Anyone who uses that in the lore is a moron. And I know there's several YouTubers that have used that stuff. It's not canon. Never happened. It's fiction. And also, in the comic, Bane doesn't die in Santa Prisca. He's killed in, like, right in front of Penguin's headquarters. Arkham Knight shoots him. But it never happened. It happened in the confines of the comic, but it is not canon. Never happened in the game. If it happened in the game, then Batman and Commissioner Gordon would be investigating the serial killing of former Batman villains. The only person they're investigating or talking about is the Joker and Scarecrow. The Arkham Knight they meet for the first time, not in the comics. They meet outside Ace Chemicals in the helicopter. There go, the comics are bogus. Everything that happened in those comics that you spent your hard-earned money on achieved nothing. Just like the Injustice comics. They're nice comics, but they matter very little. They're not some complexity to the lore. They don't do anything. Period. Once again, YouTubers not doing proper research. Why am I not surprised? No. The Black Mask that's killed by Jason Todd is Black Mask. Roman Sionis dies in Arkham Knight. Jason kicks him out a window. He's dead. The only characters that are dead that Jason kills are the thugs. They mention a couple characters. That's it. Everything that happened in the comics did not happen. You want to know why? Because the writer of the comics and the writer of the game are not exchanging notes when the game is in development. They're writing their own thing. And this game already said where Bane is. He's in... He's in Santa Prisca. He is not in Gotham after the events of Arkham City. He is gone. In the comics, Red Hood kills him because he's at the meeting with Penguin and all those other guys, and he's trying to prove that he's the big bulldog, so he kills Bane, which is the biggest guy around. The problem is, it never happened. Even Commissioner Gordon himself says Gotham has been quiet ever since the Joker died. Don't you think that Batman and Commissioner Gordon would be investigating the serial killing of lots of Batman's lesser-known rogues in the game? Or at least one thug out of the hundreds of thugs in the game would mention the death of Bane or all these other lesser-known characters? Nobody does. Ergo, it never happened. Also, here's the final nail in the coffin of the comics. Arkham Asylum is blown sky high by the Arkham Knight and Scarecrow. Why is it that Arkham Asylum is not blown up at the end of Arkham Knight? Batman drives there with Scarecrow in the van, and Arkham Asylum is fully intact. Whereas in the comics, it is rubble. There is nothing left of Arkham Asylum after Jason blows it up because he hated it so much. Never happened in the game, only happened in the comic, which would tell you, not canon. And there you go. The only comics that are canon is the 4 or 5 issue miniseries that Paul Dini wrote after Arkham City. Every other comic that released for Arkham City and Arkham Knight and Arkham Origins is not canon. Never happened. It's fan fiction.
Scarecrow pulling this on Halloween. Guess he's got a sense of humor after all.
I need to choose a location to issue an order.
Go over there.
This is more like it. Gotham went to sleep after Joker died.
I don't think I could fit everybody there. Yep, and I've seen the YouTubers that have like millions of views on their lore. They're wrong. Because they don't pay attention to the basic facts. They think that, oh, because Warner Brothers made this comic book, that means there's more to the story. Wrong! It just means that you were a sucker and you bought the books thinking that it meant more, but it did not. Sucks to be you. You got played. This is a lesson everybody had to learn when they bought the Injustice comics. But Ed Boon didn't want to come out until years later and tell you, yeah, those comics, which are great, they're not canon. He-Man will never be in my game. And this is how it happened, blah, 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 blah. But, of course, they don't want Ed Boon to tell people, what do you mean the books aren't canon? I thought that there's more to the story. And Ed's like, nope. The only story is in the game. And the mobile game. That's it. That's what's canon. Everything else he says is non-canon. Same thing with the Arkham Knight comics. The Arkham City comics. They're fun. They're interesting. They take place in the universe, but they're not connected. They do not exist. Only Paul Dini's story exists because it ties into Arkham City. They actually make mention of the 2 thugs that get taken down by Batman in Gotham that were doped up on Titan. Ergo, it's canon. After the events of Arkham Asylum. That's it. Everything else, nope. Alright, John, I forgot how to smash them. How do I crush them into tiny bits? Oh. Stupid. Ray.
You're only hurting yourself, detective. Had I been allowed to finish that riddle, it would have been twice as intellectually enriching.
How was that enriching? There was nothing... I can't climb up. It won't let me climb up. Oh, ho, 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 ho. I guess we'll go to the orphanage now. Ray. Alright, John, I'm going to the orphanage now. Fun times to be had by all. Let's get this race over with. Woo! Look at that lack of detail on top of the crane. No wonder I can't climb it. The game doesn't think it's a real surface. I know I can climb that in Arkham Knight on PS4. Whatever. Let's go on top of the orphanage. What is my favorite Arkham game? I haven't said it before. City.
Ain't too late to join up, my friend. Penguin's always looking for new recruits. I hear the money's good too.
City blew me away. It did everything that I wanted the original Arkham Asylum to do and more. And then Arkham Knight and Arkham Origins is just a continuation of that type of, like, you know, big free roaming environment.
They were beating on him pretty bad from what I could see. Definitely ain't a good night to be a firefighter. Ain't a good night for most things.
You gonna say anything, or you just...
Still going after the commish? Honestly, Bruce, first he punches you, then he betrays you, then he goes and shoots you. I've got to say, I'm actually starting to warm to dear old Jimbo. Shame he's probably dead.
It's the top of the train tower that's near the orphanage.
Poor Catwoman, stuck in that orphanage when all the fun...
No, our stream got canceled by YouTube when we were going after Riddler stuff. The script is currently in development. Andy will be the director and will return as Gollum. Peter Jackson will be the producer. Ian McKellen and Elijah... What? They're going to reunite in 2027? The Hunt for Gollum?
What say we kill us some time and some bad guys?
How does canon work in general in Marvel or DC and anime? How it works in anime is they follow the manga. You have to get the writer's permission from the... Like, you have to go to the manga guy. If you're going to change the story, you have to get his permission to add to his story or her story, whoever the manga person is. And then the animation studio, even if they make something, it might be considered filler and not even official. Like, if the manga artist doesn't make mention to the arc, like in the next manga, like a year after the anime released, and he makes no mention of it ever happening, it's non-canon. Sometimes the manga people like give the anime studios a break, and they'll mention an arc that happened only in a movie or only in an anime, so that person has to go and watch the anime because it was never in the manga. Sometimes they do that. But not always. Usually, anime is based after a manga that's been out a long time, and they take different chapters to make a first season or a second season or whatever. Once they run out of material, they make what's known as filler. At least they used to. This was a very common thing they did in the 90s and the 80s and the early 2000s. Nowadays, most anime is not as long as it used to be. Most anime, a year is only about 12 episodes. If you're lucky, 26. But that's a rarity. And then what happens is, what they'll do is they'll break the anime up into arcs. So you'll get 12 episodes for one season, then they're going to split it up for the next season, which will, like the next part, the continuation will happen either in the spring or the summer. Like they might skip a month. And then they'll continue like the anime, just keep going. Some people think that means season 2. No, that's just like, there's a specific term they call that, where they divide up a show. Whereas when I was a kid, most shows in the 80s had 75 episodes for a one-season order, whether it was G.I. Joe, Transformers, Thundercats. The first season of a show had, like, a lot of episodes because you needed a certain amount of episodes for syndication. By the mid-90s, TV shows started to have less and less episodes because syndication requirements went down. And then basically the longer a show stayed on the air, that's how they ended up on syndication. How stuff works canon-wise in the comics is whatever the comic people say is canon. Like, even though we hate what happened to Tim Drake, because DC changed that, that's now canon. That means every interpretation of Tim Drake, whether we like it or not, has to be, boy crazy. In fact, even the Nightfall movie, they're probably going to ruin Tim Drake. The author is a big fan of Chuck Dixon's run, like the guy who's doing the movie, the writer. But he's getting dogpiled on Twitter because he said classic Tim Drake. And so all these people are like, oh, if he means classic Tim Drake, do they mean straight Tim Drake? So they're dogpiling this poor guy. Like, he probably wanted to make the Nightfall movie, with Tim and Steph or something, but it's not going to happen. He's going to be pressured to put in, like, the lame version of Tim Drake nobody likes. And it sucks to be him, but that's what happens. When they make something canon, you can't change it. Especially if you change a character's gender or their sexuality. You're not allowed to change it ever. Which I think puts a lot of pressure on the writer and the developer. Or the writer and the creator, because you're being put into a box. You might have great ideas for Tim. And, maybe you want to put them together with a blonde or, a brunette or something. You're going to have to make sure that blonde or brunette is now a guy. You don't have a choice. So, I mean, Marvel and DC, they don't let you be creative to the extent that you want to be. You never will. But that's how canon usually works. Or, if you make a TV show like Batman the Animated Series, everything that happened in Batman the Animated Series was referenced in things like Batman Beyond or The New Adventures, The Red Sky. Some of the Batman movies, like Sub-Zero and stuff, mentioned what happened to Mr. Freeze. I would argue that the 3 or 4 appearances of Mr. Freeze in the animated series, including Sub-Zero, is all canon. It's all connected. But not everything that happened in Batman the Animated Series is all canon either, because they don't make mention of it sometime. Each episode of Batman the Animated Series, unless it's a continued two-parter or mentioned in another episode, is its own signature solo episode. What Bruce Timm and Paul Dini called mini-movies. They weren't trying to make an established continuity. But usually with comic book movies and video games and stuff, there's a little bit of leeway. Like, they usually let people be a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? You get, to some extent, you're allowed to be creative and change the certain aspects of it. Like, maybe you're going to change up Batman's origin a little bit, or, you know, instead of a loving Alfred, you're going to make an abusive Alfred or something like that. You're going to change the status quo a little bit while still maintaining the mythic aspect of it, more or less. Does that count as the train station over here? This looks like the train station.
So who's controlling the militia now that the Knight's gone?
But somebody told me on the internet, they said, if you worked for DC or Marvel, you would fold your convictions and you would do what they say. It's like, no, I won't. If I worked for DC and they let me write a Batman thing, the very first thing I'm doing in the very first panel is I am retconning gay Tim Drake. The breakup with Stephanie and Tim never happened, and I'm literally, you know what I would do? I would have Tim wake up from a horrible nightmare and start the book. That's how I would kick off my first issue. It would begin with Tim Drake having this horrible nightmare, and people wouldn't know what he's having a nightmare about, but he wakes up and next to him is Stephanie Brown. Boom! Retconned! And then I would go into a deep psychological thing with Mr. Freeze, because Mr. Freeze would be my first 4-issue arc. But the very first page would be a mean-spirited retcon. In one panel, I would erase 7 years of nonsense and bad storytelling. In one panel!
Somebody's twisted game? No? Yeah, me neither.
That would be my very, very first thing I would do in my story about Mr. Freeze. The very first. A very petty, mean-spirited middle finger right in the face of DC.
I liked Batman's old car. You know, it had a kind of retro classic car thing going on.
Unapologetic. It never happened. Boom. That'd be the very, very first thing. And I would soak up all the tears of fans of, like, gay Tim Drake. I would have a mug, like they do of us, and I would sip it.
Never seen Batman. Not once.
I would take pictures of it. I would release the first panel before the issue ever came out. Be like, this is coming. Be prepared. And you want to know what? I would sell a ton of books, because so many people want Tim with Steph. That's all people on the internet talk about. Nobody talks about Bernard. They talk about either Tiffany Fox or Stephanie Brown as the greatest love interest for Tim Drake. Bernard is a nobody. You know who Bernard is? Bernard is Paul from Spider-Man. That's who Bernard is. Yep. But you watch. The first issue would fly like crazy. So that would be my dramatic stunt. But the story would be a very profound, psychological, in-depth look at Mr. Freeze. And the first issue would be Mr. Freeze would be in jail. And he would be, like, remembering his life. Like, some villain would set him up and he'd have to go to death row. and it's up to Batman and Tim Drake to prove his innocence. That would be my 4-episode arc. There'd be a lot of twists and turns. There would be cameos with other Batman villains, people that hate Mr. Freeze, people that like Mr. Freeze and realize that he's innocent. But it comes down to the brilliant Tim Drake to prove that Mr. Freeze, you know, was being framed. So I would do something very deep and psychological like that. That's what my arc would be. It would be like a mystery. Like, kind of like Identity Crisis or something like that. You know? Keep the people guessing until the final issue.
You know what? Scarecrow, Ivy, this Arkham...
I'd bring back the storytelling that Paul Dini and Bruce Timm did when I was a kid. That's how I would write my Batman stories. I would only do a 13-episode run, though. I'd do a total of 2 major arcs, 1 annual. I'd want to write 1 annual for Nightwing, and in the annual for Nightwing, I would have Nightwing and Batgirl get engaged. So whatever DC does after that, that's up to them, but I would be the guy who actually has Nightwing propose to Batgirl. That would be my Nightwing annual. So, like I said, I do a lot of earth-shaking things. I do a profound, in-depth look at Mr. Freeze. I would want to do, like, a 4-issue arc on Two-Face. An annual with Nightwing and Batgirl getting engaged. Especially after, like, they find out they have a Bat baby on the way or something. I do something pretty intense. And then after my run, I would walk away. That would be it. Only 13 issues. I'd be done. And then I'd sit back and watch the internet tear itself apart over the Tim Drake stuff. And then whenever anybody interviewed me, I'd be like, well, these are fictional characters. I don't understand why I, as a creative, can't come in and change them how I want. If you guys can go in and race swap and, you know, change this and that and switch people's gender like a flip of the switch, why can't a new creative person come back and switch them back? What's your argument to that? So I would be happy to discuss things with them and, like, you know, pull the wool over all the hypocrisy over the past, like, I don't know, like 10 years or something like that. Really make people think. But like I said, I would only have enough stress to deal with, like, 1 year, like 13 issues in total. And then I'd just walk away. I'd let my work speak for itself. That's all I would commit to. Yep.
The Arkham Knight took off. Just another cocky pretender.
But the Tim Drake stuff is personal. Because it wasn't enough just for them to change him. They also went back and they made fun of the Young Justice comics from when we were kids. Called them toxic. So it'd be a revenge killing, basically. I took that personal. And I waited and I bided my time to fix things and figured out how to fix things. So that would be done deliberate. I would love every minute of it, though. And I guarantee you Tim Drake would sell like hotcakes again. Because I would no longer make Tim Drake about his sexuality. Like, yeah, he would be straight. He would be Stephanie. And Stephanie and Tim's relationship would be important. But it wouldn't be the sole focus of the book. They would still be Spoiler or Batgirl and Red Robin or whatever. You know, Tim would once again be a technological whiz. He'd be the smartest Robin there ever was. He would stop wearing short shorts. He would stop acting like a member of the Village People. And he would just be Tim Drake again. I would prove a point, too, when people brought it up. Be like, you just went back to regular Tim Drake. It's like, that's how Tim Drake always was. A brilliant detective who liked women. A guy who used his brains and computer skills. You know? He was never the type of Robin that you were making. He's not a stereotype. Even as a geek, he was never a stereotype. You turn him into a stereotype. So I'd switch him back. And hopefully, what I would do in comics would set a ripple. And Iceman would once again, maybe someone would have the courage to make Iceman straight again. And some of the other characters. We'd be taking back our media from, like, you know, all that stuff. People wouldn't be afraid anymore. You know? But like I said, it would never happen. It would be funny, though.
It's a race against time, detective.
Never happen.
Money's on time.
But I would still hold true to my convictions if it ever did. But the stress would probably kill me. That's why I'd only commit to like 1 year. I don't even know if I'd have a YouTube channel when I came back. Probably not, I don't know.
When's Scarecrow's show back on?
I had people try to kill me over like playing Harry Potter. What would happen if I changed Tim Drake back to being straight? I'd probably have lots of people try to assassinate me. I don't know. Internet's weird, man. They can't handle a lot. I don't know.
It seems you
Yeah, you lost.
know, Dark Knight, I never tire of seeing you fail. You fail.
You failed, you failed, you failed, you failed. But there would be one thing that I could tell you for a fact. Those books would sell a lot more than Robin's solo book. And they would sell a lot more than Robin's current appearance with Batman. I'd probably sell 200,000 copies easily. I would do Batman absolute numbers, if not more, because all those old Tim Drake fans that feel like they were sidelined and bullied, they would come back to see classic Tim Drake. And they would appreciate that little jab at the beginning of the entire, like, past 7 years of Tim's life in comics was just a nightmare. A lot of people would appreciate that and find that funny. Because that's how a lot of Tim Drake's fans feel. Whenever we look at Tim, it's not Tim Drake anymore. It's Tina Drake. Because they say, you know, well, we identify with this new Robin. Okay, what about all those kids that grew up in the 90s? You took their hero away from them. Did they not identify with who Tim was? Did they not look up to him? You took him away and gave him to 1% that don't even really appreciate him and just wanted a gay Robin? Miss me with that nonsense. You didn't really like Tim. You used him. You used him and you did nothing with him at all. So I'm gonna, you know, I would do something with Tim. I'd give the guy justice again. Because deep down, I still care about Tim. Even though he's a fictional character, I still think he has value, and I think the character's worth something. There's all these horrible articles about Tim. Like, oh, where did we go wrong with Tim? Tim's not the same anymore. It's like, you changed how Tim was. Of course things aren't going to be the same.
Oh no, you've lost. What's wrong?
Like I always say, these people can't see the forest before the trees. They just don't get it. You can have something in big neon lights in front of them. They're going to ignore what's written on it. They just don't get it. It's frustrating, you know? But yeah, basically, you know that scene in Convergence where Tim and Steph are cuddling? That's how I'd open up the first thing. And basically, Tim would get a phone call from Bruce saying, I'm having trouble in Gotham and they're going to kill Mr. Freeze. And Tim would look at Steph, he's like, they need me back in Gotham. And then we'd let Tim be the center, like, the issue would go down in history as a Tim Drake story, even though he was a guest character in a Batman book. That's how I would write it. I would write it like, the story comes from the point of view of Mr. Freeze and Tim Drake. And since I'm retconning a lot of stuff, that means that Tim and Steph didn't come back to Gotham after the events of, I don't even remember what the arc was. Like, when they brought Tim back and they, you know, had him come out, like, I would start from there. I would start with them still in college. And, like, you know, just retcon, I don't know, probably like 6 years worth of stuff. Like, the Robin stories never happened, but maybe the Batman did. And then if I make mention of, like, somebody else's run, I'll just use Damian in place of the Robin that was there or something like that. Instead of Tim. You know how Tim has been following Batman everywhere as, like, the sidekick again? Because I don't think we really had Red Robin introduced in DC Rebirth, really. He's basically Robin. So I would want to go back to the pre-52, like 2009, 2011 run of Tim Drake, like the storytelling. So, like, it would be the Tim that we kind of remember with a little bit of DC Rebirth to him. Like, a little bit younger, but not too much. And by the end of it, I'd probably have him, you know, become his own solo hero again. Because he's only utilized in books with other characters. He can't hold his own solo book because people abuse him. They don't know how to write Tim. So, that would be my thing. And I probably wouldn't be... A certain group of people wouldn't like me, but I think the majority would like me, and that's all I care about. You know, I just write a good story, have good characters, have a fun, thrilling adventure. And then, you know, if people like the Mr. Freeze arc, maybe they'll like the Two-Face, because I feel Two-Face hasn't been done justice in comics and TV and video games in years. So I would want to do similar to what they did with the Big Bad Harv thing. I'd basically be doing a greatest hits of the animated series because I remember that so fondly, as well as it. The animated series inspired me to, you know, get into psychology and some other stuff and the study of the brain and criminology and things like that. So I would want to, you know, kind of bring attention back to that. And not any one of my stories other than retconning Tim Drake and bringing Tim and Steph back and keeping Batgirl and Nightwing a thing. None of it would be a reflection of the 2020s. There would be no mention of any of the stuff that you see on Twitter and Blue Sky. It would be solely just what is happening in Gotham in my comic. I would go back to the 90s storytelling in a heartbeat. There would be no reference to anything happening that is not in that universe. It would all be Gotham-centered. Every single thing. No Reddit mod stuff, nothing. Just Gotham storytelling. Dark. Thought-provoking. You know, gothic. Gotham. And it would sell a lot of books. Easily. I would go all out like I did with my documentary that I made years ago. That'd be the plan. Be my magnum opus. Ah!
Oh dear, you seem to have...
Yeah, I'm aware.
Is the vehicle to blame or the driver? Probably both.
Well, Mr. Freeze is like one of my favorite villains. And I feel like DC has been mistreating Mr. Freeze for years. So I would want to give him, like... I'll give you a little tease, but like I said, it would never happen. Mr. Freeze would be actually okay with him going to death row because Mr. Freeze has convictions, and Mr. Freeze, you know, realized he did bad stuff to save the woman he loves. Like, he's aware that there are consequences to what happened to him, so he's at peace with that. But Tim would be very upset with Victor's, you know, take on stuff because... You know, Nora's still alive, and also Tim knows in his gut that Mr. Freeze is innocent. There's just something that doesn't seem right. So we would get into the 2009-2011 Detective Tim Drake, who wouldn't be able to rest until he proves that Mr. Freeze is innocent, when even Batman can't figure out what's wrong, why he can't get the right amount of evidence, and why he can't refute it. It would come down to Tim to prove, as the greatest detective in the DC Universe, what's actually going on, and it would unravel this huge mystery. So both Tim and Mr. Freeze would be the cornerstone of that run. That's it. So 4 issues of that, and then 4 issues of Two-Face, but... and I'd probably want to write a couple issues with Nightwing because DC's not going to pull the trigger and get them engaged or anything, so I'd be the one to pull the trigger, get the ball rolling, and then I guess they'd see what they do from there. Because they've been dating now for like 4 or 5 years. They haven't made any progress. They're just a cute, like, couple. There's no engagement. There's no commitment. They have a dog. That's it. So I would push Dick and Barbara further. Nope, not fast enough.
You are defeated. Too slow, Dark Knight. Too slow.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that fast enough, though. The back grapple does... Oh, whoops. That was weird.
There are riddles to be solved on Miyagani Island, Batman, which is named...
Because you have to understand that I don't see I don't see DC as a good company. DC hasn't been a good company for years. So if I could literally embarrass the company and make a story that fans loved but DC hated, I would do it in a heartbeat. If I only had a 1-year contract and I could never work for them again, I would still make that issue just to spit in their face. That would be my way of rebelling and being like, hey, just so you know, millions of Tim Drake fans did not appreciate what you did to Tim and Steph, so this is our payback. So I would have a fan's mentality going into it. And also, I can show them that, you know, Tim works better as a straight character. And I have a lot of research material of Tim and Steph that I could actually write a really good, you know, maybe one-issue thing of Tim and Steph's relationship while he's trying to figure out this murder case and prove Victor's innocence. Also, I've been married for like 20 years, so I know how couples interact with each other at the, you know, breakfast table and things like that. So, it's not like I wouldn't know how to write a straight couple. Because I have experience with that, right? Yeah. Darn it. I'm never going to get that riddle, am I?
The sweet taste of someone else's failure. Faster next time, detective, or you will fail again. Next time, detective.
You do need the Batmobile for this? Alright, thank you, John.
Ivy saved Gotham. Sell out.
Ivy saved Gotham, sell out. Yep, because I'm tired of seeing sideline Tim Drake. That would be my main lasting legacy. And if I got a thumbs up from like Chuck Dixon or some of the guys that used to work on Robin, and they really appreciated what I did for the... Because their characterization... I would probably use the Tim Drake that we saw in Graduation and like 2009. That would be my characterization of Tim, like pre-Convergence. I didn't like New 52 Tim Drake. So I'd bring back my version of Tim Drake, which was pre-52. Like, right after the events of, like, bringing Bruce Wayne back from, or discovering that Bruce Wayne was alive in the past. That's the type of, Tim Drake mindset that I would want to have.
It's a race against time, detective. My money's on time. Race against time.
I don't think the Batmobile is going to be able to do this, though. It's already so... Not enough time, not enough time.
Nice driving, idiot. He's right there. Just go. You want to take the wheel?
No, I didn't see the line there because the graphics suck. Ah, ha, 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 ha. No!
Apologize for guessing us.
Who saw the line there? I didn't see no stinking line. Oh, shut up!
What was that? A practice run? Try it again at some semblance of speed.
Yeah.
Looks like it's all on Scarecrow.
I think my hope for that entire, like, 1-year run, though, what I would be hopeful for is that people wouldn't be scared of creatives coming in. And if they want to mess around with a character like that, they can know it's not permanent because you can always switch it back. Like, that would remove a lot of stipulations and stuff that creatives have to go through working at Marvel and DC when your favorite character you'd like to write for, you know, has had everything changed on them. And you're not allowed to play. You're invited to their sandbox, but you can't do whatever you want in the sandbox. You have rules you have to follow. And, you know, those types of rules didn't exist for, like, Neil Adams, Dennis O'Neil, Chuck Dixon. Those guys in the past, they could write the stories that they wanted to. They didn't have those types of, like, forced stipulations. So if there would be a way to shatter that, then I think I did a good job.
Unless you got a few screws loose.
Oh yeah, I don't give up. I'm gonna get it. It's just gonna take a while.
Not me, but the hypothetical time in which I would naturally complete the course.
Oh wow.
It's him. Don't worry, he ain't catching us.
Not about it catching you. It's about driving really, really fast. Come on, 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 come on!
Crow on those billboards. I'm kind of hoping for a power outage.
Yes! Ha ha! Eat it, game! Eat it! Just eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it. Ah, that's fun. Yeah! In your face! That's what you get. Okay. Let's see. Who would I have cameos in my book? So, the people that Tim Drake would be talking to in Arkham Asylum would be Hush. We would do like make Hush look really creepy and be creepy. But I would want to use I would want to use my version of Hush that we never saw. I'd want to do the menacing kind of like thing that Kevin Conroy was trying to do with Hush in Arkham City, and just really expand on that. So Tim would talk to Hush. I'd have Eddie in my book. Like, Eddie would be part of, like, the people that, Riddler, or the people that Tim talks to. Batman and Robin. Like I said, it would be a mystery, so there's not going to be... There might be action and stuff, but at the core, I want to write... like what they did in the 70s, where they do like a mystery, where it's a race against time too, because Mr. Freeze is going to be put on ice. You know, they only have a limited time to prove that he isn't the guy who did this horrible thing before Mr. Freeze is like put out in the cold for good. But I'd want to write, like, the gentle version of Mr. Freeze that we had in the animated series to give him... I feel like he's been missing a lot of that human element. Especially after he has Nora back. Like, when Nora's safe, he's not as crazy Mr. Snowman anymore. He's just a husband that's very passionate about getting his wife, like, cured, you know? He had some bouts of lunacy when he couldn't find his wife anymore, and... you know, it was a race against time to get her stabilized and stuff like that. But once all that stuff came together and his wife is, you know, stable and things like that, Mr. Freeze, in the animated series, he had a different way about him. It wasn't until people stole Nora from him that he went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Which would make sense, because I think any husband, if their wife is taken from them, they would go crazy. Justifiable, you know? Not justifiable based on the actions that he did when he went crazy, but... it's relatable to understand why Mr. Freeze did what he did when he felt like he had no other choice. He didn't want his wife to die, so he did turn to crime. But there was a cause and effect for that. So I would bring back that Mr. Freeze, because that Mr. Freeze has been gone in comic books for like 20 years. Mr. Freeze has become almost like a generic cold villain again. And I think Mr. Freeze, the way that Paul Dini and other people wrote him in the 90s, he has like a layer to him like onions. So I would bring that type of like characterization of Mr. Freeze back, at least for my run. So in Arkham you would see Penguin, you would see Mr. Freeze, you would have Hush, you would have Riddler. I would have Condiment King because Condiment King is funny. Condiment King doesn't mean anything. And even I'd have Batman talk to Tim like, we're really going to talk to Condiment King about this? And Tim would be like, I missed the guy. I haven't seen him in years. So it'd be a nod to something, you know? As well as, because it's based on the animated series thing, it would be like a nice little throwback to people our age remembering the animated series. It'd just be funny. Like, Condiment King wouldn't have any other thing other than a quick cameo. He's just there in prison, and Tim just goes to see him because he hasn't seen most of the old crew, because he's been away in whatever city Stephanie and Tim have been in when they went to college. Remember, I'm going to retcon everything that Tim Drake went through over the past, like, 7 years. So he's been away at college, or maybe he's a graduate student. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But yeah, it would all disappear. And you're right, there is malice behind it, but there was malice changing Tim. You can't tell me that they changed Tim just because they wanted to be true to the character, or that they, you know, punched down on the Young Justice people and the Young Justice comics and called us toxic and did all that other bullshit. You can't tell me that they did that from the goodness of their hearts. So I say we fight fire with fire. They want to be petty and they want to be dumbasses? Fine by me. If I got in and I wrote the books, I'd be petty as hell to them. And I would love every minute of it. Payback. Because they did it to us, why can't we do it to them? Why do we always have to be cordial? Why do we have to be nice? You know? It's like they're just going to step on us anyway. Hit them where it hurts. Take their token character and untokenize them. See how they feel. And there won't be a darn thing they can do about it the year that I'm in that comic either. Because I'll have a contract that's ironclad that I have to write 13 issues or no deal. Or I won't do it.
Two-Face, Penguin, Riddler, screw 'em all. I'm working solo from now on.
Sorry, activists make me angry. I swear a lot. My bad. No subject detected. I can't read what that riddle is. Wait, it's Penguin's house?
Can't believe everyone's running scared.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay, it's Penguin's house.
About Joker.
Oh, yeah. I also planned on, there were 3 major catalysts that I was going to do. So, retcon Tim Drake, get Babs and Dick engaged, and also bring back Alfred. Making fun of how Star Wars does it. Alfred just returns. He somehow comes back. And the funny thing is, I wouldn't explain how he comes back. Because I retconned the Tim Drake stuff that happened when Alfred died. That means Alfred's automatically back to life. So, here's some major stories from those people that will never have happened in my retcon. My quick, ruthless, and mean retcon. Alfred never had his neck broken. Tim never came out. Tim is happily with Stephanie. Much further along in his relationship than Barbara and Dick are. Which Barbara and Dick just feel like, you know, puppy love roommates. Tim and Steph are actually a very loving couple that are considering marriage. They're more mature than Dick and Barbara are. So, the events of Tom King and Chip Zdarsky never happened. Just completely retconned. None of it. Alfred is alive. Damian is Damian. Jason is no longer had that horrible costume. I would give dignity back to Jason. He would have a cool Jason Todd costume that would be inspired by his 2005 and 2011 look. I would do a marriage between those two looks, and we'd do justice to Jason Todd. I would get rid of... none of the Bat family members would have superpowers, because that defeats the whole point of Batman's legacy. So Cassandra Cain's whole arc with her getting superpowers would be erased. Never happened. She wouldn't be a bloodbender. The Bat family would be regular human beings that have mortality and other things at stake, which makes their issues more interesting. No superhuman abilities whatsoever. Not during my run. And yes, those characters that I grew up with would pop up in the different Bat books that I would write. So you would see Cassandra Cain. You would see Stephanie Brown. You would see Tiffany Fox. You would see Lucius. You would see Duke Thomas. You'd see all those characters. They would pop up like as cameos, or maybe they'd have a significant role. I don't know. But they would be the characters that I remembered reading. No superpowers.
You think it's safe being out here again?
Because giving the Bat Family superpowers defeats the purpose. If you're giving the Bat Family superpowers, you don't know the Bat Family. They're just regular people. Yeah, Alfred has been dead in the comics how long now? Hasn't he been dead for like 7 years or something like that? So Alfred would get resurrected. Here's how I would do it too. Like when Tim has his nightmare and he wakes up. Like, unless people came to this video, they would have no idea. Like, Tim wakes up and you don't know who he's sleeping with in the beginning. Like, those weirdos would think he's sleeping with Bernard. And then the light would come on, and you would see it's Stephanie next to him. The amount of reaction that I would want to see from the internet would be glorious. But that wouldn't be the only funny thing. I would completely deflect the situation and act like it's totally normal, like he's saying he had a horrible nightmare and saying that he liked men and all this other stuff. And Stephanie gives him like this weird look, like, okay, what kind of stuff were you watching? Like, were you watching a BL or something? I'm gonna have to check your history on your phone. And like, chuck it off. And then like he would get a call from Wayne Manor, and you'd be assuming, oh, Bruce Wayne is calling Timothy, and then the person on the other end on the panel is Alfred. And Alfred is like just talking to Master Timothy and reminding him of like maybe a Bat family member's birthday, like Damien or something. Just something very family and casual. And it would be Alfred and Damien would be the first characters you would see in the very first issue of my book. Like Alfred and Stephanie and Tim just having a regular family conversation. Just normal stuff. And then on the next panel, like, because it would be national news that a Batman rogue would be executed, right? That would make, like, major DC headlines because they don't get the death penalty, usually. So Tim and Steph, like, after Tim had a nightmare, he'd wake up and he'd be getting himself something to drink, and he puts on the TV and he sees, this thing on the news from wherever they are in the country. National headlines that Mr. Freeze is about to be, he's going to be executed next week for, like, killing so-and-so or something. And Tim would, like, basically do a spit take with his water. And, like, Stephanie would come in and be like, what's going on? And he's like, that's not possible. He's like, I know Victor. And then, like, have it, work from there. That would be the catalyst that brings Tim Drake back to Gotham. Our Tim Drake. OG Tim Drake. And then work from there. But that's how I would do it. Like, yes, I would basically put a spike in people's hands that liked him being however he was for 7 years. But then I completely move the conversation away from Tim and Steph, because people would either talk about the Tim and Steph situation or they talk about Alfred just randomly being alive again. It'd be like a bait and switch. So, yeah. Because a lot of people don't like Alfred being dead either. I don't know if I would do anything with Bruce and Selina. I'd be too busy with trying to, prove to people that Tim and Steph are, like, they're supposed to be together. So I wouldn't really mess with the Catwoman and Bruce Wayne thing. Like, Bruce would be single in my run. The only couples that I would mess with would be, on occasion, would be Stephanie and Tim, but I would not make them the focal point of the book. They're just together. You would see them, like, just like, how you go to work and you say goodbye to your wife or something like that, or you come home and eat. Like, that's kind of how the first and second issue would be, is like, Tim's not really hanging out in Gotham very much. He has responsibilities to where he is. Like, maybe he and Steph live in Bloodhaven. I don't know. But he comes home and he hangs out with her, and they talk about stuff, and Tim mostly is inner monologuing with the crime that he knows Victor didn't commit. I think that would be very interesting, and it's a type of storytelling you don't see very often anymore. You don't really get that detective-driven, psychological, like, stuff anymore. They've gotten rid of the psychological stuff for Batman and DC because, I don't know, they just don't like it. I think that the psychological aspect of Batman is actually a very good thing, and, it shows Very important things with how Batman, you know, thinks through problems and things like that. As well as Tim. You know, Tim lost his parents, but he lost them at different times. But he's not as screwed up because he has the love of Stephanie. And he also has the adoption of Bruce, and he's got his surrogate father, Alfred, and then he's got his 3 brothers, Dick, Jason, and Damian, which all, you know, add a different core dynamic to his thing. So you would see the Robins. Jason might pop up, like, more, but I would be hoping, like, the thing is, I would talk to the other DC people and be like, look, I'm going to do a complete redesign on Jason, I'm going to do this and that, but I need you to write a cool story of Jason Todd doing something so that I can make a nod to it in my book. So I need you to do Jason, like, give him something cool to do, whoever's writing Jason Todd, and I can do, like, a plug, you know, for whatever, and just have Jason stop by and see Tim and Steph, because, you know, Jason actually started to like Tim more in the New 52. A little bit. They weren't enemies like they were pre-52. That's the only thing I didn't like about the pre-52 is the relationship between Tim and Jason was very estranged and, like, murderous. So I would want to kind of give Jason that, like, big brother role that he didn't really get. Not the eldest brother, mind you, but, like, kind of like a big brother role, you know? There would be a whole family dynamic. Like, the Bat family would shine in the... Not necessarily the case with Mr. Freeze, but definitely the Two-Face thing. I don't know what my last arc would be. By the time... Because that'd be 8 books. Mr. Freeze arc, 4 books. Two-Face, 4 books. Nightwing annual would be... 9. Batgirl annual would be 10. A Batman annual would be 11. And if I did 2 other issues, that's 13. That's a year. It's a year right there. So, I don't know who else I'd want to write. Probably Young Justice, if Young Justice still existed. I don't know. But like I said, it would never happen. Like, DC does not hire people based on merit. They hire people based on political opinion. And unfortunately, I've been very, very open over the years about, like, how I'm, like, you know, independent and stuff like that, and not a Democrat. So I don't see DC ever hiring me, because I'm not a part of their clubhouse. I also don't agree with everything they agree. So the world would have to change quite a bit for me to even get a job with that, because it's not possible. And I can't pretend to be like a crazy bleeding heart liberal either, because no offense to, you know, bleeding heart liberals, but I can't do that. I can't pull off that kind of crazy. No offense. Like, I have too much of a gift called discernment that I don't do well with, like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't do well with pretending to get along with people that I don't agree with. I'm a very blunt personality, so I clash with a lot of people. I don't have the tact to try to pretend that I'm one of somebody when I'm my own individual, you know? It just doesn't work. The end result is bad. But I like me being blunt. I'm very comfortable with how I am. I don't walk quietly and carry a big stick. I am the big stick. And I whack things with it. I like that. I don't care about people's feelings. I don't care about anything. Just care about getting the truth out however I get it out. Whether it's like with a bazooka or whatever. That's how I am. I can't shy away from stuff. It bothers me. But my wife is a completely different personality. She's very gentle and kind, and I'm not like that. Especially all the stuff we've been through the past 7 or 8 years. I'm not a very gentle, kind soul anymore. You know. I don't knock down barriers, I blow them up. You know? The subtlety of a stick of TNT. Whoa. I didn't know I could jump over cars like that. Anything else I would do? What else would I do in my run? I think that'd be pretty monumental. That you have to understand, that would be a lot for 1 year, too. Bringing back Alfred, bringing back Tim and Steph, bringing back some psychological aspects of Mr. Freeze and Two-Face, highlighting Batman villains that have been sidelined for years, making a murder mystery story, which I don't think DC has done like a compelling murder mystery in like decades. So that would be a huge undertaking in itself. So I'd probably borrow a lot of elements from Chuck Dixon and Dennis O'Neil, Marv Wolfman, that kind of stuff, as well as I'd probably read Identity Crisis pretty thoroughly. The one with the Justice League, to see how they kept people guessing the whole time about the mind wiping of the Justice League and things like that. Because I would want... the dude who frames Mr. Freeze is going to get the death penalty, but it's not going to be a core Batman villain. But I would want people to think that, you know, it's a core Batman villain that is the one that's framing Mr. Freeze. But it would be some, like, dramatic twist that you would have to pay attention, like, the entire time. I think the route that I would be going is kind of like a Louis Telly character. Like, this guy that you would never expect. And he completely goes under the radar because Mr. Freeze just, like, killed his entire family or something. And he's been planning his revenge, but Batman never thought of looking for this character, and Tim Drake is the one that cracks the code in the very final issue, that the mastermind behind this is just a normal guy who his entire life is shattered by what Mr. Freeze did, that he can't let go of the past. And so he did a bunch of stuff to pin, you know, a horrible crime on Mr. Freeze to get revenge for his dead family. It would be something like that. It would be like a monumental twist that would have people read it and be like, you know, expletive what? That kind of thing. Because I feel like that kind of stuff is missing now from comics. Like, the supervillains would play a role, but they wouldn't be the main villain, because obviously I can't put to death a main Batman villain. But there would definitely be stakes involved. Yeah, like a Maroni or Falcone thing, yep, but it would keep people guessing because every time, you know, Batman would think they're getting close, and the other Robins would help with the case too a little bit, but Tim would just be like, no, that seems like it would be too easy. Like, of course they would want us to think that it's this character, blah, 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 but there would just be something like, you know how Tim, you guys probably don't remember Tim in the 90s, but Tim always trusted his gut. Like, if something was off, he never went with his first guess. Like, it always was something that was just like, this doesn't seem right. This is too easy, or this is, you know, there's more to it than this. That's the kind of person that Tim was. We haven't seen that Tim Drake in a very long time. So, you know, I would want that kind of guy that, you know, he knows that Victor did not do this. And he feels like Victor is just punishing himself because of all the bad that Victor did when he was, you know, a criminal. And Victor would just be one of those guys that's just sitting on death row and he's completely calm, you know? And it drives both Batman and the Bat family crazy because they begin to believe Tim, too, that Mr. Freeze is innocent. And there's nothing they can do because the evidence points to him, like, in so many different ways that he's the guy, you know? And even Mr. Freeze believes that he's responsible because maybe he had some connection to the crime that he's being sentenced to. That would even be more interesting. Like, if there would be some way of tying him at the scene of this horrible crime and making that he has some type of role into it, even if it was an accidental role, that would make, like, a lot of eyebrows go up. But the problem is a lot of readers nowadays, not you guys, but just readership in general, they're not very smart. So I don't know if they would be able to pick up on a lot of the subtle clues. And I don't want to be one of those writers that has to reinforce and hammer and hold their hand that, hey, this is where I'm going with this. You know, that might be too stupid to understand it. The only thing they'll probably take away is, Tim's not with Bernard anymore, I'm angry. Or Alfred's back, I'm not angry.
Batman's gonna
I appreciate you bringing Alfred back, but why did you retcon all that stuff with Tim Drake? First comic book panel. Be like, why did I retcon what they did to Tim Drake for 7 years? I lean into the microphone at Comic-Con and I say, because it was shit. Comic-Con explodes. What? Can you elaborate? Oh, yes, I can. I have notes. Put on glasses, take out my notes, and read about everything wrong with Tim Drake the past 7 or 8 years. Oh, that would be so good. Oh. Another lifetime, perhaps. Like I said, it would never happen. But if DC, you know, was able to do that, yeah, I would totally do that. In a heartbeat. The only loyalty I have is to myself. I don't care about anybody else. Luke going scorched earth? Oh, yeah. Yeah, they think they remember Chuck Dixon that way. Oh, my gosh, they would know my name by the end of that panel. Like, who's this Nightwing guy? We've never heard of him. Oh, I had a YouTube channel for years. I did Batman stuff. Somehow I ended up writing for DC. I don't know how that happened. And they're like, well, what did you think about this? What do you think of that? Let's see. Considering I retconned all of it, I thought it was trash. Have Tom King sit there with, like, this stupefied look on his face. No offense, Tom. But, yeah, it was garbage. I never liked what he did with Alfred. It really, you know, I always wanted to find a way of fixing it, so I just Superman primed it. He's just back. And they're like, well, how did you bring him back? Well, considering the stuff with Tim Drake coming out of the closet never happened, ergo, Alfred never died. Problem solved. So they're like, how do you... So you're just totally fine with retconning writers' stuff that they worked really hard on? I'd be like, well, let me put it to you this way. How many times has DC actually rebooted their universes where the stories of the past 10 years don't matter anyway? Think of this as a soft reboot, but one done for the fans. How will this affect the other Superman books and things like that? Well, considering my stories mostly take place in Gotham, I guess other writers could take inspiration from what I'm doing. If they want to have Connor swing by and say hi to Tim and Steph, I'm sure the readers would love that. People loved when Connor visited Tim and Steph back in the day. I think you people are forgetting that Tim and Steph were a very beloved couple before you just randomly broke them up with a text. You know, I'd be ready for them. They wouldn't be able to handle the smoke that I could deal for them, you know? They have no idea. I was a member of the press. I know how to talk to these people, you know? I know how to do PR. I know all this stuff. I was a part of their, like, PR game for years when I was a game journalist. I know everything to do. I know all the questions. I know how to say the questions back. Be so much fun. But like I said, I could only do it for a year. Like, the amount of stress and stuff behind the scenes and the death threats that I would get. Because don't think I would get death threats for changing Tim back. Like, I literally got swatted for playing Harry Potter. Like, people would literally try to kill me. Like, that side is crazy. Okay? So, I mean, yeah, things would get really bad. So I would only be able to commit to 1 year. And I don't even think I would do that many appearances either. I'd probably do, like, very limited Comic-Con appearances. There'd have to be a lot of security. Oh, yeah, but totally. I would, you know, subtly throw Chip Zdarsky, Tom King, all those people under the bus with, like, the retcon and explain it in a way that wasn't mean. Like, you know, DC reboots all the time. Ever since I was married, DC rebooted 4 times. With so many different universes that all those stories, that rich history of Batman got erased just like that. So, with my thing, I tried to continue where, you know, my predecessors went. but it was just too much of a mess that it interfered with my storytelling. So I found a good place to jump in for this type of universe, and I just reset it to before the text message where, you know, Tim was visiting Gotham. In my universe, Tim and Steph never left college. In fact, he hasn't been Robin for years, so you're going to see a Tim Drake that is actually getting used to being part of the crime-fighting team again. He's been, you know, with Steph for several years doing the college thing. He might even be a grad student, which is something Alfred and Bruce wanted for him and a lot of the Bat family members, which was rudely interrupted so that he could date men. So, you know, I'm just going back to an earlier save state of Tim Drake. Next question. No, it's hypothetical. I'm saying, like, if I wrote for DC, I would retcon Tim Drake. Tim Drake would be retconned, Alfred would be brought back to life, Chip Zdarsky, Tom King run would never happen.
I like working for Two-Face. Half the time, anyway.
It's just a hypothetical. Whoops. My laptop went out.
You know what? I've had it with the crap that happens in this town. It's time we went after the people responsible. Two-Face? No, Batman. I like a riot as much as the...
Also, considering the lady who wrote Tim Drake has no writing credits whatsoever, and I've actually written lore videos for like 10 years, and I wrote the Batman documentary that got like 10 million views, I think that I can handle writing 10 comic book issues for a year. If that lady has no skills and no credit, and she can punch down on Young Justice and all the stuff she did, and her Robin solo run, which was absolute trash, I could easily write something. Because they've shown that people at DC don't have talent. What I have is passion, knowledge, and hard work. So those three things is all that was required in the 90s to write good Batman comics. So yeah, I could do it. No problem.
They don't scare me. Yeah? Well, they clearly scare the real army. You'd think the cavalry would have turned up by now.
But anyway, we got to get the Zelda stream started. We kind of got some stuff done in this. Not really, though. It was mostly going after... there was a lot of chasing riddles. I don't even know how many riddles we've done in total. We have a lot to do yet, don't we? 176 out of 243? Okay, so that means they're inside bases and crap.
You'll fight me if I find your trophies? Fine, Enigma. I'll hold you to it.
I love how he says that. He's like, I am so done. I am so done with you, dude. Fine. Fine, fine, fine. We're gonna throw hands after I get all your meaningless little trophies.
Guy and his giant freaking army.
That was a great delivery. I've made some audio lore videos too with sound effects. I've done that.
This is more like it.
I got a lot of views for my... A lot of people liked my, my Matter of Family DLC storyline better than the one that Sefton Hill wrote.
Open.
A lot of fans still talk to me about that Sefton Hill, Matter of Family DLC audio drama that I wrote years ago. A lot of people ask me that. They're like, are you going to write more audio dramas? It's like, that took an entire week to do that. No, I'm not going to do another one. If they make more Arkham games, maybe. But that audio drama was what? That was 45 minutes with sound effects and all kinds of stuff. Rain and gunfire and cars and sirens, and I had tons of sound effects in that thing. That was a 45-minute video, I think. Alrighty. So anyway, we got to get to the next stream. No, I never wrote the Nightwing story. No, I did. I didn't like the Matter of Fact. I didn't like the Matter of Family DLC because I thought that Jason Todd should have been the Robin. So after I completed the DLC, I wrote my own story. I think it got like 100,000 views. I don't remember. I read it like a narrator from the point of view of, I think it was Jason Todd was the... I retconned a lot of the Arkham Knight game, though, in that story, like how Jason ended up... Matter of Family tied into how Jason died, I believe. I thought I blowed him up in it. I don't remember. It was... that was like... How many years ago did I write that? I wrote that in 2015. I wrote that, and then I performed it, and then I added the sound effects and the music. But I don't remember everything that happened in that story. No, it wouldn't be with AI. I don't need AI to write. I just need AI's help to make like some thumbnails for art that doesn't exist. Like Phelan doesn't have any art. The game developer is too small. They don't have any official art. So I had to make my own art for the game because it doesn't exist. We're not doing the Nightfall Protocol until we get all the Riddler trophies. So, again, guys, if you want more of the data packs, episode 21 of Batman Arkham Origins, don't say the word or YouTube will... Don't say this word or YouTube will... has 948 views. It needs 1,000 in order to get another stream. So that stream, episode 21, that went up earlier today, that YouTube stopped because we said a word that we didn't know was bad, because it's the name of a TV show from the 1980s. Stupid. That word shut my stream off. And it was one of my favorite courtroom dramas of the 80s. It was such a cool character. And it means something sexual now. It's like, wow. Stupid. You should write to Tim Drake, hey, if I got hired by DC, I would have you as my illustrator. How's that? My idea for the story would sell a lot. Well, there's not a lot of murder mysteries anymore. There's not a lot of stakes involved in comics. Comics is all about identity politics and what's happening in the world. I would get rid of all of that. There would be, like, the news would have a big role in my story, but the story would be a news about, like, Mr. Freeze. Did he really do this? How does the world feel about, like, an Arkham inmate getting the death penalty? You know, this has never happened before. What is the Bat family's reaction to this? Everybody in my comic book world would reflect what's happening in their universe, not what's happening in our real world. There would be nothing my entire first year and only year. I'm only dedicating 1 year of my life, theoretically. My entire 1 year stint in writing Batman and Robin and Nightwing would only be what is happening in the DC world, not what's happening out my window. Not what's happening on Twitter, not on Blue Sky, not on YouTube. Just what's happening in the world around them. The story would revolve around the characters and what's transpiring in their universe, just like it did when I was a kid in the 80s and the 90s. The world wouldn't be ready for that type of storytelling because they wouldn't know how to handle it. And what would sell books is the outrage of changing Tim back to being straight. That's what would sell the book. The number one issue would sell probably like 250,000 copies easily. And hey, you know, if my job was to set the tone back so DC Comics could kind of regain its sanity, you know, I'd be happy. Because as a fan, because remember, I grew up with the books and the animated series and the Arkham games and all this other stuff. I'm getting older. there's not much left I can do to contribute to anything. I have problems with memory and stuff like that because my car accident is messing with my brain. So it's like I'm only going to have like probably another 10, 15 years like being this sharp as a tack. And then my mind is going to start to like have like problems. You know, that's what the doctors keep telling me. There was brain damage done from the car accident. And the older I get, the more I have problem with memory. You see me get lost in games more. It gets worse every year. So for me to like, you know, sit down and write this storyline, I only have like a limited window. Like probably only have like 10 or 15 years before like I wouldn't be drooling in a cup, but definitely going to have like a lot of problems where I'll end up repeating the same points, or maybe I'll completely forget things and just space on the air. I don't know. I don't even know if I'll be streaming after like 4 or 5 years. Like more. I don't know. I have no idea what the future holds. Just do the best I can every day, you know? You'd buy 20 copies. There'd be variants. Don't worry. I would hire some great artists that were still alive to make like 20 different variant covers. I'd be really smart about it. I think one cover should have Stephanie and Tim kissing. That would set people off. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the Zelda stream or the Zelda indie stream. Amber says she wants to be up for it, so I'm going to wake her up. But, I mean, there shouldn't be outrage. I mean, we weren't allowed to outrage when they changed Tim. We had to accept it. So, you want to know what would be funny? I'll tell you one last thing before we go. The best thing that would happen is, like, he would run into Bernard, and they're, like, best friends or whatever. And then I would have Bernard repeat, like, the same line that Stephanie did. Like, Tim and Steph are, like, going serious now. And then Bernard would say, Tim, I just want you to know, today is the greatest day of my life. And Stephanie would look at Bernard and say, mine too. Ooh! Ooh, the twisting of the knife. Because they think I forget. I didn't forget. I remember everything about those Robin issues, man. Oh... Yeah, I'm petty, but I don't care. Alright, guys, see you on Zelda. Haha.